So I realized one of the things that I have difficulty with doing video logs. So the setup I want to do is just I just kind of vent or talk or I just be open, have something to talk to, since my options of who to talk to happen to be very limited and kind of more structured than it necessarily should be. Um, so usually I usually have something right down here, but I don't know. I'm trying not to restrict myself, so I'm just going to talk about today. And since I feel today was worthy enough to talk about, I guess whenever I come to the end, I'll think about a title. So I talked to an old friend of mine. She used to, well, not used to. She's always been like an animal enthusiast, like horses, pigs, like farm animals kind of thing. Um, she got a boyfriend who I kind of like. His name's Dave. Um, I kind of think he's kind of cool. Well, and I say kind of only because I have very limited exposure to him. But this week is fair, and she was like, "Oh, why are you not coming down to fair?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't really want to deal with the people." And she kind of like, even though she knows my situation, she kind of was like, "How do you mean? You seem to have been doing a lot better." And it had me just kind of think about like, what do I mean? I mean, yesterday and the day before, Danny and the girls went out to the fair. And luckily, they used the funds that I gave Danny to be able to go to the fair. So I'm happy about that. But I myself just didn't feel comfortable going. And it's just like the possibility of bumping into people who I will end up going to jail because I saw, not because I just saw them, but because of me getting angry or frustrated. And that's like, jail's like the worst thing. Like, another bad thing is like if I just see somebody that like puts me in like a panic mode. Very few people can understand unless you have been in those particular shoes what it's like to be in panic mode. Not necessarily like, oh, my life is in danger, but it's just more or less like drama or stress or just anything that just kind of sets it off like that. And usually the reaction to that panic attack can be violence, and sometimes for me it is. And I try really hard to prevent the violence from happening. Um, Danny and the girls seem to have had a really good time going to the fair yesterday and the day before. The girls went today. Danny was just so wiped out that she couldn't go. Um, but that kind of brings up another thing that happened today. Danny was like, "Hey, would you want to come over?" I don't have my car, and I don't like asking other people for rides. And the only time I tend to ask other people for rides is that if I'm doing a favor for somebody else. Um, but that put me in a mood, which then put everybody else who I talk to into a mood. And it's not Danny's fault; she wants to spend time with me. I totally get that, but it's one of those things that's like, I don't know. I was just feeling just kind of grimy and dirty, and not like I didn't shower or anything. Like, trust me, this is just home clothes. I have like 20 t-shirts just like this. Um, it's just I just didn't. Danny actually put it in better words than I could, because after I got into a small confrontation, not with her, but like, she was like, "Oh, um, go ask Sue or Chuck," and that ended up being a thing. Um, and I ended up passing out, but I woke up and I saw this message from her. She's like, "I understand what it's like. Sometimes you just don't want to bother, like going out and all that stuff." And she's right. There are days I really don't feel like being bothered to leave or bothered to bother with other people. I try really hard to like, pace myself, but I do see that like that actually is kind of damaging my relationships. Not just with Danny, but with a few other people too. Now, most of the people who have known me for years understand, okay, this is how he is. This is the kind of situation that we can expect. Like if we ask him to come out to like a cookout, he he would want to come, but will turn it down regardless because of the possibility of, yeah, today it might be good, but tomorrow it might be bad. Or tomorrow might be worse, or tomorrow might be great, but he won't know until that day happens. And sometimes it helps that he prepares for it, but it's sometimes best just to let him do it at his own pace rather than kind of always kind of go, "Oh, let's do this and let's do that." Like my friend this morning. She was like, "Oh, you really should come. You really should come." And as much as I do appreciate her asking, I was just like, I'm not going to the fair. If my girlfriend couldn't get me to go to the fair, and not because I didn't want to spend time with her, just I just don't want anything bad to happen, and the kids are around. And not that I don't trust myself, but it's the idea that I'm able to kind of perceive, okay, this is too much of a high stress level for me. But you and your daughters can go out and have a good time, and we'll just figure something out later on to do some other time. Um, One of the things with having any kind of mental health is the fact, well, is that people tend to kind of go, oh, well, what happens if, like, if you're schizophrenic? What happens if you have a schizophrenic moment with your kid? Well, the plan is to, well, we can't get rid of schizophrenia, but it's to better handle the situation with coping skills and what have you, to be able to handle those situations. I have to struggle with that all the time. And like, if I always have to worry, if I say, oh, I don't want to do this, then sometime down the line, someone's going to be like, oh, because he's a mental health kid or person or whatever, he cannot do this or he cannot do that. And it's like, it's not that I can't do this. I just rather not deal with certain kind of level, like high level stress. It's kind of like if you're going to a party and like the people you know who are going are all like drama filled divas. And that's something I picked up from my brother James. You're not going to want to go unless that's your thing. If that's your thing, then go right ahead. But it's just really not my thing. But I do kind of appreciate that Danny was able to kind of understand where I was coming from. I do understand that she was not upset. She was disappointed. She wanted to see me, and technically, if I was in, I knew if I went down, it would be an unintentional fight would occur because I'll just be in a silent mood, and that'll put her in a silent mood, and then we'll be in a silent mood against each other. Next thing you know, boom, we're in another fight, and we're doing better now. So I'd much rather us be in a better state of mind. And I'm trying to say things so that I'm not necessarily pointing blame on anybody particularly other than myself, because I can only change myself. So there's that. I got one more thing before I end this video log though. So something weird happened at dinner. Um, we all went down, and Nakoma was down. Well, it actually has been the first time we had dinner on the table, at the table, sorry, in like weeks. Um, and I wasn't in my normal seat, so that just kind of threw me off. Um, but you know, Chuck and everybody were making their usual dinner time conversations, and I'm not gonna get into this. It's really weird, but usually for normal conversations, or at least normality, I usually rely on both Sue and Nakoma to kind of give me at least semi-normal conversations. Granted, lately, well, before we stopped having dinner at the table, Nakoma's kind of been like recessive, like kind of like, you know, eat and leave kind of thing. Kind of like what I want to do, but I have too much stuff to do afterwards. But with her hanging around Bobby, she's been a little bit more open, which can be kind of awkward and negative in a way. I have to admit, sometimes I do kind of. The word is not jealous, but honestly, that's the lack of a better word. That's the best I come up with right now. That she is spending a lot of time with Bobby. And it used to be that my little sister and me used to be almost like inseparable. If you look in Second Chance Gaming, we have a couple of videos that we just goofed around playing together. But she's getting older, and she's getting actually attached to her actual step half. No, wait, I think it's called half brother. And there's reasons for that. And I get that. I'm like, there's no real relations with me. There's no reason to be connected to me. The more and more I realize that I'm getting what I want of being just that guy, so it'll be easier for me to eventually go. The more I realize it's gonna hurt when it happens. When I actually, like, you know, move on. It's tough. The whole thing is going to be tough. It's tough now, my mental health, and people want to like, hey Nick, let's go do something. Hey Nick, let's go do that. I'm like, unless it's something that seems like I need to do. Like if Danny's like, okay, we're gonna put brakes on your car. I'm like, okay, I need to do that. But it was like, okay, let's go walk around at the mall. I'm like, I don't really feel like I need to do that, but I know that you want to spend time with me, and that's something that you like doing, but it's not something that I care for. Or you want to go out to a concert. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I really don't know the band or whatever, but you know, so you guys go ahead and have yourself a good old time, and I'll have a good old time in my room and doing my own thing. The tough thing is being able to balance the how long do you stay in your room to how long, like, being able to, like, do I go out or do I just stay in my room? If I stay in my room more often than go out, then I end up being like a hermit. I don't want to be a hermit. Deed makes a hermit work pretty well, which is a friend of mine. That's kind of like her thing that she wants to do, even though it's against her personality. She just thinks people are really stupid, and I agree. People are horrendous and mean and ridiculously ridiculous. But change has to happen, right? To a certain degree, anyway. As long as I'm true to myself, that's the important thing, right? Am I doing better? And if I am doing better, if I'm not doing better, is that okay with me? Sometimes I wonder if I should be in any kind of relationship, friendship or otherwise, because a lot of times it's kind of like I'd much rather not be bothered. And sometimes I used to get on Danny's case about that a lot, but now I realize maybe I am kind of more damaged than I thought I was. Damaged in the sense that, like, I just don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be bothered. And if I do want to be bothered, I want to be bothered on my terms. That's not healthy for other people. And it's technically not healthy for me, but if I'm okay with the unhealthiness, like smoking cigarettes, then whoop to do, that's what I do. I don't know. I'm working it out. I'm trying to figure it out. In the meantime, I don't know. I got things to do. Thanks for listening for the 10 minutes. I really wanted to be more like 5, but, actually it's 11 minutes and 30 seconds now. So, yeah, I better let you guys go. Later.